Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Zeke, and today I'm starting a new reading vlog. Still have not completely decided how long I'm going to be filming for, but probably 3, 4, or 5 days max, and we'll see where it goes. But I guess I'll start with my plans for the coming days. As of right now, I'm currently reading 2 things. One book is Age of Myth by Michael J. Sullivan. This is the first book in a epic fantasy series called The Legends of the First Empire, and it feels very classic. Lots of familiar creatures. The atmosphere feels very much like classic fantasy. A lot of the character archetypes feel like classic fantasy, but overall, so far, enjoying it, enjoying the plotting, enjoying the interactions between the different groups that are in this story. And basically the story follows multiple perspectives, but the main storyline is that there are 2 main races, the humans and these elf-like creatures called the Fae, and humans see these Fae as godlike beings, and in this world they're subjugated by the Fae, they're kept in a specific area, and they're forced to stay there. And the story kicks off with the murder of one of the Fae by a human, and that's what kind of gets the ball rolling. And we follow a few different perspectives. One is the god killer himself. One is a prophet, a young girl who travels with a wolf and is a prophet. And we also follow the widow of a former clan chief in one of the various human clans that exist in this world. Another one is this sort of mage figure in the fray. It's very political, it's very action-packed too though, and there's a lot going on right now, but I'm just excited to go see where it goes next. I'm about 2/3 of the way through as of right now, and that's probably what I'll spend the majority of my time tonight. It's currently Monday night. This is probably what I'll spend the majority of my time tonight, and maybe I'll finish it tonight. I'll try to finish it tonight, and we'll see where that goes, and I'll update you on that later. Also currently reading Song of Solomon by Toni Morrison. This I'm reading for school, but I'm also loving it. This is my second Toni Morrison. I've also read her first book, The Bluest Eye, and currently I'm about halfway through Song of Solomon. Also very much enjoying it, very much a study of the Black experience in America. Talks about materialism a lot and lots of symbolism, lots of literary devices used, and it's really fun to also talk about as a class in school. And I'm reading this a lot more slowly, just a few pages every night along with the pace of my class. So I'll of course update on that too, but at a much slower pace. So now I think I'm gonna get started on reading the last 100 or so pages that I've left of Age of Myth. Okay, so I've read about 40 pages, and there was just a little bit of a reveal that happened. We're getting towards the climax, the ending, but I mean, I can't say I was surprised. I saw it coming, but I think it was well done. I still just waiting to see what happens with the ending, how everything wraps up. Because it feels like, as of right now, there's a few loose strings. One of the perspectives that was kind of added towards the middle of the book hasn't really been talked about in a while, because there's a lot going on with the other 4 main perspectives. So I'm just kind of wondering what's happening over there, but also interested in the main storyline and the climax that's coming up, and the way things are coming together. It's interesting, and I'll see how it goes, and I'll update you when I finish the book. Okay, I just finished the book, and I have a lot of thoughts, but I guess I'll start by talking about the ending. I think the ending, it wasn't anything very surprising or very different from what I expected, but it was, I think, very well executed. I think that all the threads were tied together very neatly, and I think it really set up the future of the series in the next book. My main thought about this book is that it was very not what I expected at all going into it. It felt very self-contained, and it felt very small in a way. I mean, we cover a lot of area physically, but the story itself feels very small for what I expect is going to be a much larger series. And I think that this book was very much a setup for the rest of the series, and kind of introduces us to the world, introduces us to the characters, and the plot isn't very essential. The main quest storyline in this book, especially with the human perspectives, I don't think was very much anything incredible, but I feel like it really was a method to introduce us to the characters and to the world, and kind of, as I said, sets up the future of the series. And so overall, everything I said about the book at the start of this vlog, I still agree with. I think the characters are interesting. I think they're not incredible. I don't think the characters are the best characters I've ever read or anything, but they're interesting enough that I want to see what happens to them next. And I think the setting is very familiar. It's pretty basic fantasy stuff, but I think it's interesting enough, and I think the plot will get more interesting as the series continues. And I'm left with some questions I have for the future of the series. There's stuff that we learn about the Fray, and there's this mystery surrounding some sort of door that I'm very interested about. Also, the politics of the Fray, I'm interested to learn more about, along with especially the magic system, how that works, and everything surrounding that. And also curious about the history. They mentioned history with the dwarves, between the dwarves and the Fray, and there's some other stuff that happens that kind of hints to that, and I'm very interested to learn more about that. So I hope we get that in the future. And so overall, I thought this was decent. It wasn't anything incredible, but I did enjoy reading it. It was very engaging, fast-paced, and I think overall I'm going to give it about 3.5 stars. I'll round up to 4, but 3.5, 3.75 max. But very good, and I'm definitely going to continue on with the series eventually. So I think that's going to do it for me reading tonight, and I'll check back in with you tomorrow and let you know how everything's going and what I'm going to read next. Okay, so it is currently the next day since I last updated you, and I have a bit of a predicament. I'm out of physical books. I do not have any physical books on my shelf that are on my TBR and that I want to read right now. So I think I'm just gonna check something out digitally from the library. So I'll let you know what I pick out, and I'll start reading. I don't have a lot of time to read tonight, but I'm gonna start something and I'll update you however much I read. Whatever I read, I'll let you know. Also, I want to talk about Song of Solomon, which, as I mentioned, I'm reading for school, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about how that experience is going. So, Song of Solomon, written by Toni Morrison, it's a classic, it's a modern classic. Song of Solomon, it really talks about being Black in America, and I think the thing that stands out the most is just the literary devices she uses, the characters she creates, and the themes that she explores with those characters. And it really doesn't have a central plot per se. It's very character driven. We see these characters get into different situations based on their relationships with their family, based on their situations in life, based on their personality, their experiences with their family, and we kind of see them all interact with each other. And we center around this one family, and we really get to see all of them and all of their faults and all of their issues and all of their backstories and why they are the way they are. And it really builds this holistic picture of everything that's going on, and it's very beautiful. And also the writing is incredible. She's one of, I think, the best writers of all time, and so far I'm about 2/3 of the way through, taking it slow, as I said, because I'm reading with school, but just talking about the symbolism, the different symbols she uses to talk about the characters, to talk about the main themes of the book, which are talking about race, talking about gender roles a bit, talking about just society in that time, talking about violence, how violence and death play a role in our lives and whether they should be used for activism. Themes like that. She really uses symbolism to convey a lot of them in just a very beautiful and meaningful way. So I'll keep you updated on that too as I read it, just at a more slow pace, not every time I read a few pages, but maybe next week I'll update again when I'm done with it, because I'll probably finish next week. But for now, I'm going to go pick out a book to read now, and I'll let you know what that is. Okay, so it's currently a few days later. Things have not gone to plan. I have not had a lot of time for reading. I've been very busy, but I have picked a book since I last recorded something, and I want to do a quick update on that because even though I haven't had time to really film any updates, I've read about half of it. It's very short. It's called Fever Dream by Samantha Schweblin. I think that's how you pronounce the name. Might be wrong on that, but basically, I don't have a lot to say. So far, it's very, very weird. The plot follows this woman. She's laying in a hospital bed, presumably, and this boy is speaking to her and asking her questions, and she's basically telling a story based on the questions that he's asking her, and we're learning about the story, and the story involves her, it involves the boy, it involves the boy's mother, and there's some really weird, fantastical elements, weird stuff going on, very confusing, not sure exactly what's going on, but so far it's pretty interesting. I don't want to say too much about it because it is so short. It's only about, I think, 150 pages. It feels almost like a mystery without it actually being a mystery. There's no like actual mystery, but just the vibes are very mystery based, and I guess I'm just gonna read a little more and I'll update if anything interesting happens that I want to talk about, or else I'll just update when I'm done with it. So I'll see you then. Okay, I just finished the book and I have many thoughts. I think this is probably the weirdest thing I've ever read in my life, and I'm not really sure how I feel about it, but I'll just talk a little about it. I think that we have a very small cast of characters. There's only like 4 or 5 main ones that have any impact on the story, and I don't really think this is about the characters. We don't get a lot of depth to who the characters actually are. We just see them at this very small snapshot in their lives, this like 1 day span, kind of. It's hard to tell. This book, the title is very apt. It does feel like a fever dream. I still am not completely sure what happened, but something happened, and I'm not really sure what the main point, if there even was one, what the point of the book was, what I was supposed to get out of it. But I did enjoy reading it. I think it was very engaging, and I did want to know what was happening. By the end, I don't feel like I know what happened at all, but I don't feel like that was the point. It's supposed to be ambiguous. It's supposed to make you think, and I like that about it, and it was very engaging and different, and that's something I really liked. It's so unique and different. However, I do feel a little let down just by how it all ended, because I feel like I wish I knew more, and I get that might not be the point, and maybe I'm just too dumb to understand, but I wish that there was a little more to it. I wish that there was a little more explanation, and I think that's just a personal preference thing. This kind of story, I'm not sure if it always works for me, because while I get the point of ambiguity at some points, I wish that I knew more. I always want to know more. And it can work for me sometime, but this time it worked in the sense where I enjoyed reading the story, but I was also disappointed by the end. So I'm not really sure, but I think I'll give it a 3-star because I did enjoy a lot of it, and I did enjoy reading it a lot. I just am not really sure how I feel about the book as a whole, looking back on it, but it was definitely a good choice, and I think it was a good a reading experience, because I've never read anything like that in my life. Okay, so that's going to do it for this reading blog. Overall, obviously did not go to plan. I was very busy, and I was gonna do this over the course of 2 to 3 days, but it ended up being 5 days with like a 2-day break in the middle. But it is what it is, and I still got some good reading done. I finished Age of Myth, and I started and finished Fever Dream. I also read some Song of Solomon, and I also have continued since the last time I talked about Song of Solomon. I've read a little more, but I don't have a lot to say about that, so I'll talk about that in the next one. But so pretty successful. 1 4-star, 1 3-star. Actually, what did I give Age of Myth? Did I give it a 4-star? I might have said 3.5. I think 3.5. But still decent. Always wish that every book I read is 5-star, but obviously that's never gonna happen. And I still had a good experience, and I still enjoyed both the books I read, even though they're not all-time favorites by any stretch of the imagination. But I guess next reading vlog, I'll continue reading Song of Solomon, and right now I have no plans. I'm just gonna, tonight or maybe tomorrow, I'll just pick something up. I don't know. I'll probably get something digitally from a library source, just so I can read whatever I want, and we'll see how that goes. So thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment if you want to, subscribe if you want to watch more videos that I make in the future, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.